I. I know there's an A.
So
and
you
I
got
know
that
there's a
T.
T.
Yep.
It's like after that.
You're like you're guessing.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this thing. What up, though, people? It is your boy, Detroit Kool-Aid. As you see, we got a guest here. We'll get to him, but we got Mr. Everything over there. Really, Mr. Everything over there, man. Jeff Freddy. Shout out to the legend, Detroit News Rod Beard. We're going to get there because we want our guests to join in. But we have a legend here, man.
Yeah.
Stop looking over there.
No, I'm looking at Laz, dude.
He's looking at you.
No. I'm not the legend. I'm just like old.
You're the legend, right? Then you know, hey, listen. Real talk. Old. One of our OGs. We'll put it that way.
Yes.
One of our OGs.
That sounds a lot better. We'll go with that.
Yeah, one of our OGs. Listen, he's holding things down over at Detroit Bad Boys. We got Laz Jackson over here. Hey, look, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Yes, First off, thank you both so much for having me on. I truly appreciate it. I've been at Detroit Bad Boys for 6 years, 7 years at this point. It's been a long time.
Yeah. That's through some dark years, man.
Yeah, man. Well, it's funny. It was funny too. What I always say is they signed Josh Smith, and I was excited about Josh Smith. And then Josh Smith was so terrible, I had to find other people on the internet to complain about it with, and that's how I found Detroit Bad Boys.
Oh man,
that's a perfect pairing, though.
Yeah.
Dude, shout out to Sean Corp, everybody else over there.
Yeah, some great guys, man.
Let's do this drum roll, and then I gotta brag up my guy down there. Let's do it.
Drum roll for Rod.
Yes, sir. Let's get it. You gotta join in, man. Hey, yo, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Shout out to the legend. He will be back on next week, hopefully with a special guest. I'm gonna say hopefully. It's supposed to be confirmed, but it's on the way. Yep. Now, we got our guests. We got Detroit News. We introduced everything, but you guys, we've been teasing it, and I know some of you guys probably already know. Mr. Everything down there. I don't know. Is there any more room in your name? He is officially what? You tell the people, man.
Yeah, no, I'm back on the morning show, which is good news. I'm keeping up the grind. It doesn't stop anything I'm doing currently. From half court, still doing that. Woodward Pistons, still committed to that. We want to grow that to the ceiling. Not more the ceiling. You know what Michael Jordan said? The ceiling's the roof.
Ceiling is the roof.
Man, screw that. Michael Jordan. We're going higher than the ceiling. And then I got Jeff and Gentry. I'm still doing. And then, I'm on the morning show. So I'm excited. It gives me a chance to not only get what we're doing more out there. And look at him. He's throwing up the poster, too. Man, look at But it gives me an opportunity to just get more eyes on what we're doing. And I couldn't be any more excited, man. So it doesn't change. We'll still be doing these pods, getting to you every single Wednesday still. But it's just something new. And you'll have more eyeballs. So I'm excited. I really am.
Yep.
Shout out to Terry Foster, by the way. I know I'm replacing Terry, but Terry is really Uncle T. He's a real one. He's always giving me advice. I never forget when he first took over for me on the morning show. The first thing he said to me, he's like, "Are you sure? Like, are you okay with this?" Like, Uncle T actually cares about your feelings, which is something I've always respected. He's not like one of those, because you see a lot of people in media. It's like, I'm here for me, and then you worry about yourself. Terry's always concerned about everyone else, and you'll be seeing a lot of Terry on Woodward Pistons. We're trying to make it happen, so I'm excited for it. But I appreciate you guys for giving me the moment. But yeah, Mr. Everything. I'm sticking by that name. I like it.
It is, and he didn't have to give it to himself, man. It's just what people know about Jeff. Like I told you guys, from doing basically everything here, from what you see on camera, that is the tip of the iceberg. That's probably what he deserves. He does a lot of work here, so definitely want to make sure we tip the cap to him. Everybody, if you can, leave a congrats in the comments for him. But we got Laz here, man. We got to get in some basketball talk.
Let's do it.
We got to.
Let's do it.
And I know we got some things to talk about. I want to open up with not the Rico Hines run just yet.
We'll get to that.
I got some things to get off my chest, by the way. I got some things.
We have formed some opinions. I feel like I'm disappointing Sean Murphy. He wasn't having it.
No.
He wasn't having it, but we'll get there.
He got wrongfully targeted yesterday, and I'm going to get into it, too.
Yeah, we're going to get into Kojo's comments on Cade, man. The assist of the century, bro, by Kojo. His best assist of his career.
His most meaningful assist. You know what
Shout out to the Woodward heavyweights. I definitely want to make sure we mentioned that.
Yep, shout out to the boys.
We were down at the Monroe Street Midway. Shout out to everybody down there that's doing what they're doing. To make that a great event, Bedrock, Woodward Sports, and all the different vendors and everybody. It was awesome. They held it down. I'm looking forward to doing more down there. Woodward Pistons are supposed to be there. Hopefully, we can get down there before it gets too cold. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yep. But I know that. Listen, the push is hopefully a pre-game party there before the first home game. That's the hope. Fingers crossed, y'all.
Hooping before the hoops.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we talked about the Pistons month by month last season and how it correlated with Cade Cunningham's stats. And we were talking about, the impact that he made. We heard a lot that Cade didn't really do a lot as related to winning. We saw them with the Rookie of the Year voting, tried to honor rookies that they saw on winning teams and were contributing to winning. But when you look at this team, just from a roster standpoint, I don't know how much Cade was supposed to do to lift this team any more than he did. Mm-hmm. When his feet got wet, not with the help of all-star veterans, when he got a little bit more, comfortable, not with, again, the help of all-star veterans around him on his team. He didn't have what Scotty Barnes had. He didn't have what Evan Mobley had, but he still was putting out a lot. Now, I know that his start to the season, as you talked about in the beginning, it was
slow.
It was slow. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
That's what we will call it. And I don't know how much that hurts him. I really don't. But as the season went on, especially after the All-Star break, when you match up the games that Cade was actually invested in playing, and by that I mean the Pistons not putting him in for 5 minutes and then taking him out, or crazy foul trouble that kind of hampers the entire game. I mean, the games he was really invested in, you see this team kind of hovering around 500 post All-Star break. When you look at, because right now everybody is trying to figure out what this team is going to be, how many wins it is going to be, who is Cade really. Yeah. I talk this way. There's no more that Cade needs to prove.
No.
Yeah, like does he need to continue to improve?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, but to me, the same way that we knew, LeBron's that deal early on. Look, we're not comparing Cade to today's LeBron. Can we compare him to maybe some of these rookies? Like Jeff went one time and we just looked at the free throw comparison between Cade and other rookies. That's what we're doing here. When we're looking at him, is Cade that guy that should be in that echelon of how we talked about Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and such?
Well, when you were talking about how Cade is that dude and young guys and how you don't want to compare him to a LeBron, and we talked about the Luka comparisons coming out and when he was drafted.
Right.
But the thing that you just made me think of, actually, Kool-Aid, was Ja Morant. How Ja Morant just really burst on the scene his rookie year. Obviously Zion didn't play as many games as you would like, and that was part of the reason why Ja won Rookie of the Year. But Ja was immediately so special and so impactful for that team that they knew they had something special, regardless of whether or not, is Ja Morant a top 5 NBA point guard? Is Ja Morant a top 15 NBA player? That doesn't matter, because Ja Morant leads this team to the heights that they hadn't been at, since the days of the Grit and Grind Grizzlies. We definitely think Cade can do something along those similar lines, right? Cade, we definitely see the stardom in Cade. He's what level? We don't know. And, he's 21. He's got a lot of room to grow. He's got a lot of time to grow. And we know he'll be able to do that in Detroit under the tutelage of Dwayne Casey and under the roster construction that Troy Weaver's putting together. But at the same time, it's could Cade be better? Absolutely. Absolutely. And when Cade is better this upcoming season, will the team be better as a result? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I have every confidence that Cade will end up being a really impactful player for the Pistons moving forward. I don't want to predict all-star for this upcoming season. I think that's a little too soon.
Too tough.
You still got guys like Darius Garland and DeJounte Murray, who's switched conferences, who will be in that mix. Drew, I don't think was Drew Holiday an all-star this last season.
He might have been. He was an all-star. I don't know if it was this past season or
you have guys who are on that all-star fringe that might push him down, especially if the Pistons are winning as few games as we expect them to win.
Right.
But, when the team success comes and Cade is the engine behind that team success, the individual
it's push button.
They're going to come. They're going to come.
And I'm glad it's funny you brought up Ja Morant, because when Brandon said that, the first thing that popped in my head was Ja Morant. When you said, when you know. And when they drafted Ja, it's different. You draft Sadiq, you draft Isaiah Stewart, you draft a guy like Isaiah Livers. But when you draft your franchise player, that's the first step of any team taking that next step. And they did it. You got Cade Cunningham. And now everything else kind of falls into line. And the point about what he has to do this year, it's hard because, to talk about Cade, he has such a complete game. You're really nitpicking, getting stronger, getting out of foul trouble.
There are definitely things like statistically, right?
Efficiency numbers, turnovers have to come down.
Shooting better from three.
That's like the stuff. You're not saying like he's got to get better as a passer, got to get better as a rebounder, defender, maybe a little bit as a defender. But for me, this season, it's learning how to win, like affecting the game in a way that like Moran did. Came out this year. They were the 2nd seed. That's what I'm looking for out of Cade. It's like I know what I'm getting, and I haven't predicted this year to go 22-6-6, but how does that affect winning? That's my number one concern this year for him. I don't think there'll be a 45-win team, 40-win team, but if you can get better by 10, 11 wins, to me that's that first step. Then the following year, maybe you add more talent, they could take that next step. But that really is it for me. Is like how can Cade affect winning, because he's so dynamic. He can affect the game in multiple different ways. But I just want to see it on the win-loss column. That's really what I'm looking for with Cade.
When you say that makes me think of defense, because we know defense is very important to winning both in the playoffs and in the regular
Absolutely.
season.
100.
And one of the things that makes Cade special from an offensive standpoint is that he can be that good offensively. He can be a 22-6-6 guy, but he's also not like a guy you have to hide on defense.
Right. Yep.
And him being able to shoulder both of those loads on both ends of the court will definitely impact winning. And so that was where my mind headed immediately when you brought that up. And I agree with you. That's something that I'll be keeping track of, because we know 82 games is a long season.
Yeah.
It's a grind. A lot of superstars get away with like not playing, not giving max effort on the defensive end all the time because they have so much of an offensive load.
Right.
But I think Cade being able to play on both ends of the floor at an impactful level is what will like really help the team be better in terms of wins and losses.
And I think that's the difference between him and Luka too. Like Luka, I know Luka will probably never be a good defender. That's just his game. Like I think he's going to be tremendous on offense. I think Cade has that opportunity to be a two-way player. I'm not saying he's going to be Kawhi Leonard, but I think he'll be like you said, you're not going to be able to forced to hide Cade Cunningham. Yeah. And you saw it post All-Star break too. Like once he started to understand, because defenses, as a rookie, dude, one of the most they had to game plan for Cade.
Game one, they're trapping him from 28 feet.
And then you see post All-Star break, they're just under 500. That's my point. Like throughout the season, he learned to adjust to how defenses are guarding him. He learned just the NBA, just in general, the game, the traveling late in the season. And that's what stood out to me too. Post All-Star break, Jeremy Grant was in and out of the lineup. You had different guys in and out, but they were still a little under 500. So it's a positive sign for sure.
And that's what prompted this, is because, there's a lot of questions in people's mind, and I think a lot of people want to avoid the hot take or avoid the freezing cold take, That's what I believe. I think people are trying to be a little bit more metered and measured with this, because we don't have to hope with Cade. With other players, we had to say, Stanley Johnson's going to work out.
Luke Kennard, I'm going to be honest with you, I knew right away with Luke. I was like, I think this is about it. What we're getting is what you get. I never thought, hey, man, Luke Kennard.
I don't know why that killed me.
I'll never forget like the frustration on Blake Griffin's face. He was just like, Luke, shoot. Like, just shoot the ball.
This is why you were brought here in the first place.
Right. In this is the thing. It's like, we're not wondering. We saw a whole half a season of what Jeff is hoping or is predicting Cade is going to bring next season. We saw that. We put that on tape.
In the month of March, too.
Yes, and we saw the team do what? Win. How many wins did they have in the month of March? What was it? Was it 10?
It was 9 and 8.
Let me see here. Yeah. Because that's why I want to go for it month by month. Pistons wins month of March.
Those aren't. I'll tell you that month of March wasn't empty stats.
No,
he was playing well and they were winning. So that's another positive thing you could take into it.
Yeah, and they hadn't got to the point of the season either where other teams were starting to like rest their guys in anticipation of the playoffs.
True that.
You were actually like winning games against full strength teams who are also like trying to win games.
Yeah,
it's one of the things I always look at towards the end of the season is like, are these stats mirages? Right? Like, are you just putting up stats because Milwaukee is sitting Chris, Giannis, and Drew, right? And it's like
Killian against the Thunder,
right?
Playing again.
Exactly. Like that was a G League game.
Yeah,
basically.
for sure.
It's like, are we putting up stats because of that? Are we seeing improvement because of that? Are we seeing improvement because the guys are actually getting better? And I think you can definitely see Cade's progression throughout the year. He definitely got better.
Oh yeah, no
things
question.
Things he needs to improve on, but he was definitely more acclimated, more comfortable. The trade for Marvin Bagley was a big
That's
deal.
another one.
Having an actual vertical lob threat on the pick and roll, making him a lot more dangerous as a playmaker, as an operator and a facilitator. But yeah, no, kids the truth.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at it here, the game right before All-Star break was February 16th against Boston Celtics. That was the big one. I know Jeremy Grant hit some daggers. It was a pretty big win for them. They came out of the All-Star break and beat Cleveland Cavaliers. Mm-hmm. That was a game in which Cade had some big daggers. So the end of February to beginning of March, they went on a pretty good stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins, 2 losses. Then they had a stumble, and then they went back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about a 5-7 stretch from about March 17th to April 3rd. Well, we'll include April 6th in there. That's the Dallas game. Mm-hmm. They were playing, they were in it, and then they took out, I believe, Cade towards the end of that game, and it just the lead blew up. Yeah. So in between there, though, there is a bad stretch of losses. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight losses, a win, and then a couple more losses. I want to see exactly what was going on in there, but what I noticed, the difference between the first half of the season and the second half, just looking at the numbers, the blowouts stopped.
Yeah.
The blowouts absolutely stopped. They're playing all these games after, like, just before All-Star break to the end of the season, tough. So you see a couple overtime wins against the Atlanta Hawks and the Charlotte Hornets. And then you see a couple tough losses to teams like the Boston Celtics and the LA Clippers, the Miami Heat. The second half of the season was a tough schedule for them.
Yeah.
But they were hanging pretty tough, man. They really were. I like what they were doing. And during that stretch, you got Cade 22, 6, and 7. The most alarming things you guys brought up. I would have liked to see his turnovers improve a little bit, but they obviously with the usage, with how much teams were trapping him, like that rate went up. I don't know how much you can really fault him for that. The fact that they didn't really jump in the second half of the season as a rookie facing new coverages and such.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's okay. His 3-point percentage, it actually went up in the middle of the season and then went back down in the second half of the season. And again, I believe it's a usage thing because he had games where he was absolutely on fire. Then other games where it seemed like he was pulling a wrecking ball behind him of a team. It really did. You could see it. And this year, with a little bit more help, a little bit more athleticism.
More ball handlers, too.
More ball handlers. Marvin Bagley from the beginning. Jalen Duren from the beginning. He started last year with no athletic centers. Starts this year with 2 that can catch lobs. Yeah. And a beef stew that can shoot threes. I like where this is headed. I wanted to look more at his actual numbers, like game by game. But you see, like during those stretches where they were winning, when Cade is that deal, this team is in a great position to win. And that was as a rookie. Mm-hmm. Coming in this year, I will be disappointed, honestly, if not that I'm looking for wins and losses, but the style of play. If we can look at the second half of last season and state, you know what, we're happy with the progress, I want to see them pick up where they left off. I don't believe in season-to-season momentum, but I do believe in players improving and coming back the next season better mentally, better physically, better in shape, and knowing what coach is expecting of me. Yeah. I don't know. I think this team is supposed to be something much better than just, we'll see what they look like next year.
I think there's definitely going to be an improvement from this team is better from a talent perspective, but they're still very inexperienced, right? It's like we know Cade is special. We have a great feel for like where Sadiq and Isaiah are at, but we got to remember, right? Like the bulk of this team's core is under 25. And so it's just an axiom in the NBA that young dudes like don't win games.
Especially young guards too.
Yes.
Young guards, man.
And so I definitely think we'll see improvements on a night in and night out basis. I definitely think this team will play better. Like you mentioned, the blowout stopping in the second half of the season. I definitely think there are going to be way fewer blowouts at the beginning of this season as opposed to last season. But I still think they will be in like that 29 to like 32 win range where it's an improvement, but it's not necessarily putting them in position to make a play-in tournament or in position to but they're also like not going to be the worst team in the league. They're not going to have the best draft odds, which is I think a good place for them to be at this point in time during the rebuild.
No, it's a great point. That's the Memphis Grizzlies. Like they went 33 games their first year with Ja, if I'm not mistaken. And then from there, just continuing to build. And I think another thing that's hard to predict, and me and Sean have talked about this, is like there's so much, and you talked about how young this team is. You have to project players.
Yes.
That's the thing that's so hard when you're talking about win total is like, I don't know what Sadiq's going to look like in his third year. He could come out, look great, or he could struggle a little bit. I don't know what to expect. You don't know what Killian is going to look like, even though in my opinion, I kind of already do. But again, let's just say hypothetically, you don't know what to expect out of Killian Hayes. Isaiah Stewart adding a 3-point shot. Like there's so much. Marvin Bagley now signing the extension. Jaden Ivey in his rookie year. There's so much up in the air with this team also. It just makes it that much harder to like go out and say, I know what I'm getting from this team on a night-to-night basis. I know what I'm getting from Cade. I know what I'm getting from, you can name other players, maybe the veterans, but some of these players, man, it's just hard to project them.
Yep. It is hard to project them, but what makes me excited is that as a rookie, Cade was able to bring definition to players like Marvin Bagley, who they couldn't define anywhere else. He was in a place, and that's what I'm saying. Like
a hierarchy. Right.
Yeah,
he brings structure.
He brings structure.
The connector, as they say.
He's like, hey, listen, this is what you're doing, and they're like, okay, hey, go pick and roll. All right, I'm throwing a lob. All right, it just seemed like the team is just like that's the guy.
Yeah.
And the way that the Pistons embraced Marvin Bagley, shout out to the fans, shout out to everybody who did any aspect or job of it, because his family was like, yeah, we want to go to Detroit. His family was saying
big time.
Like they were happy about that, and Marvin Bagley came in here and looked comfortable. And I believe that Cade Cunningham had a lot to do about that. What if his point guard was Killian? Well, no knock on Killian, but what if the point guard was Killian Hayes and not Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, because Killian's not a threat to score as much. That's
in
probably the difference. Because playmaking, he'd be great with Bagley, but then you would be thinking, oh, well, if this is in pick and roll, I'm going after Bagley. Right. I ain't too concerned about Killian. With Cade, it's like, you got to make a business decision.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're going to have to pay the price for whatever you choose.
And it's those skills, that ability to be able to, hey, the double team is not going to phase me.
Right.
These certain aspects or traps or shades that they're trying to run at me, they're not really affecting Cade's ability to produce what he produces. That's what makes me excited about being able to project for this team, because I believe they do have just a little bit, just enough. Look, we might not be able to depend on, say, Ivy and Duran, and we're going to get into the Rico Hines run.
Yeah.
You could depend on Kevin Knox. That man.
You said Kevin Durant Sr.? Is that what you said? Kevin Durant Sr.? He look like he do calf raises too, bro. Shout out
to listen,
dad.
Yeah, dude. I know that man. He's really built different.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, post All-Star break, man. Post All-Star break. That's a lot of games. That's not a small sample size. That's 21.1, 6.5 points, that's 6.5 assists, 5.7 rebounds. Obviously, the turnovers went up a little, 3.9 versus 3.5 before the All-Star break. Shooting numbers,
more attempts. It might be a little shaky up there.
His field goal percentage went up.
Perfect.
Had to.
Perfect.
45.7% after All-Star break versus 39.4.
Yeah, the thing I remember is he was much better at the rim heading towards the basket post All-Star.
Jeffrey, I never looked at this stat. I never looked at the post All-Star free throws.
Let me know.
3.9 attempts a game, brother.
That still feels low.
It is low.
I was about to say. I mean, that's
double. It's double.
But see, that was the thing for me, was that, like, so Cade averaged, 17 his rookie year?
Yeah.
It's like, it was so easy to project Cade being a 20-point per game scorer, because all he had to do was get to the line at a rate approximately like of what he actually deserved.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the instant 20-point scorer. And then if he shoots, 34% instead of the 29% or whatever. It's like that's a 22 per game score. Marginal improvements. Man, and we think he can be even better than that.
Yep.
But it's like, so when you were talking earlier about like how difficult it is to project these guys moving forward, for Cade it's so easy. Because it's just these little things will make such a huge difference in his efficiency and his ability to play make and his ability to score the basketball efficiently.
We stated just one more field goal, free throw attempt or shooting foul a game for Cade.
Skip one.
Would put him just one, just two more free throws would put him at 20 a game. And we look here, they gave him the 2 free throws and he jumps to 21.1.
Yep.
21.1 points per game. Before All-Star break, 15.7 points per game with only 2 free throws and 39% shooting. That's just his field goal attempts went up to 18 field goal attempts. And did his shooting drop off? No. It went up.
I mean, that's impressive, dude. To score almost 20 points per game and get really no free throws, like that's impressive to me. Like a lot of guys, like I'm not trying to
poorly from 3.
Yeah, like this dude is out here working
and still at 45% shooting.
Yeah, he's being aggressive, and maybe that's where the turnovers come into play a little bit. But like with Ja Moran, for example, he'll have 25 and 15 made free throws. It's like this is the league. A lot of guys live at the free throw line, and I think Cade. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but give him just a couple more.
What is the jump if he gets 7 free throw attempts a game? What's the
We
jump?
Looked at the rookies. What did Kevin Durant get in his rookie year? Like 5 or 6 free throws per game. I get he's much bigger, but still, like if you gave Cade 6 his rookie year, that's a 23
Ben
point
Simmons got 5 or 6 his rookie year. Yeah.
Bro, I don't want to compare Cade to Ben Simmons. Can we not do that?
No Ben Simmons in the studio. Yeah. All right, we're not bringing up that man's name.
Ben Simmons hasn't gotten better in 3 years. That's what Ben Simmons takes. The exact same player.
Speaking of players to project, you know what you're getting out of Ben.
Go look at his stats. He hasn't improved in 3 years.
Yeah, you know what you're getting out of Ben, dude.
But speaking of projections, I wanted to ask you about what your expectations for Jaden Ivey are. We can move that into the Rico runs or whatever.
That's what I was about to say.
But
Rico runs.
We were talking about Cade, and my thought process is one way to get Cade to shoot better from 3, to be more efficient, was to have him take more catch and shoot threes, right? Like less self-created off the dribble stuff.
Yep.
It's like, do you think Jaden Ivey is a guy that can help Cade in that department? And at what cost, though? Like, do you think about the turnovers? You think about it's really ugly turnovers in summer league.
He did, and I think I really do. I still believe this. I think he's going to struggle, and I love Jaden Ivey, but I think just his game, and you saw in the preseason too. Dwayne talk about it, like he's going at 100 miles per hour all the time, which I love. Partially, but there's a point where you're going to have to scale it back, and I think that's where Cade comes in, because there's stuff you can take from Cade's game, and there's stuff that Cade can take from Jaden Ivey's game. But to your point, I'm glad you said that, because that's what I think. I think he's going to have more opportunities because, and I said this, I really do believe Jaden Ivey wasn't really asked to do it at Purdue, but I think he's a very underrated playmaker. Like, especially with his ability to penetrate and get open shots, like something I've been clamoring for Killian Hayes, like just keep attacking the basket because it's going to open up so much. But I really do. I think Jaden's going to come out. You're going to see low efficiency numbers, and people, I already know Twitter, man. I'm ready for it. I'm already ready for the people coming out of the woodworks saying, look at Keegan Murray in Sacramento. He looks just fine. And then you have Jaden Ivey, who's with a slow start. But there's the difference with Jaden. He has to learn to play with Cade. He's got to learn to share a backcourt with Cade. Keegan's just walking into an already made situation. He has his role immediately already. He knows his role. Jaden's going to have to figure out his role. That's really what I think, because I've said this too. I could see Sadiq being the number 2 early in the season, like taking more shots, being just better. But as the season goes on, I can see Jaden Ivey getting better and better and better. But I think he'll start off slow. I got his season stats at 16, 5, and 5. The efficiency numbers is a different conversation. I think he'll shoot, low 40s. That 3-point percentage might be low 30s, but he'll get better over time. And I do think one thing that isn't talked about enough with Jaden Ivey, I think he could be an even better defender than what people give him credit for, just because of his God-given abilities. Like, the dude has a 6'10" wingspan, the athleticism he has. But yeah, I think he'll struggle to start his rookie year. I really do, because he's got to learn to play with Cade. Cade will be fine, but there's that young backcourt. They got to learn to play together, man. They got to get that out of the way.
Playing at speed, I think, is so important. And what will be really important for Jaden Ivey is to learn how to slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. See the game, see the passing windows that you can create and manipulate because of the threat of your speed and utilizing
your athleticism.
And like that, you're right that stuff takes time. I'm very excited for what Jaden Ivey can bring to this team, though.
Me too.
But I know his immediate impact is going to be in transition, pushing the pace, making things happen.
That's a couple buckets right there.
Exactly. Yep. That's an easy 6 points a game right there.
I think his speed and athleticism, this is what I've even written an article on it. It's about, to me, the pressure he puts on the defense because of his speed and athleticism, the free throw attempts he's going to garner. We lost our leading free throw attempt guy in Jeremy Grant.
That's a great point.
And I do believe that Jaden Ivey is going to slow the game down for everybody by simply getting some free throw attempts. Yeah. Especially if Cade gets just a few more. Please, NBA, a few more attempts. Just a few more attempts.
That was one thing that was really stood out to me in summer league. It's like if you don't have a big in the paint, it's like Jaden's going to finish or he's going to force some free throw attempts.
He will.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like that is the power.
What do you have? 11.
Speed.
He had 11 points in 5 minutes. What do you have, like 6 free throws or something like that. 5 free. Yeah, he got to the line a lot with that little burst of time, so he can do it.
That's what was exciting me. Yeah, like, and I agree with what you're saying, Jeff. It might take some time to learn certain aspects. We don't know how he's going to handle certain traps that Cade was getting. Cade is a more cerebral player who plays the game at his own pace.
Right.
Whereas Ivy plays the game at his own pace. It's just 100 miles, a second.
It's pretty fast.
Yeah, it is. And where I think he's going to be helped the most, I think, is 3-layered, and it's what we've kind of talked about a lot. It's the 3-guard rotation. It's what Killian brings to the table that I believe ultimately is going to be able to help Cade if Killian drives to the rack. Did I do it right? Like, seriously, like if I mean, think about it. Killian with the rock in his hands, with the playmaking ability that we know he has, and Cade and Sadiq out there, or Cade, Killian, Sadiq, and Ivy, like, dude. Yeah. You can't tell me you can't find an assist at least every other time down the court.
There's definitely a world in where they like run that 3-guard lineup out. We know Dwayne loves his 3-point guard lineups,
right? And
they just go because Killian wants to play at speed, Jaden wants to play at speed, and Cade wants to play in the half court. let those two go, and if it doesn't work, pass the ball back out to Cade. Let's run some pick and roll. Let's get some stuff going, and it works on that end as well. So, that's gonna be fun. I can't wait for those first havoc creating minutes, right?
Yeah,
get Hami out there making steals, making stuff happen.
Just roll all guards out there, man.
So we don't have to start with the Blake offense, the dribble up and then just hand it to Blake, and now we can actually go. And then if it doesn't, hey, Cade, and Cade will get down there and dunk on you too.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
He'll get down there and dunk on you. Like, all right,
that's Corey Kispert.
That one, I can't even.
I like Laz, man.
Scary hours.
the Rico scary hours. Yo, shout out Ashton the trainer, man. Big supporter. Bro, we support you. So thank you for all that you do for us. Definitely, man. And shout out Detroit Bad Boys again. But this Rico Hines run. Man. I'm glad that Laz brought up Ivy.
We've been waiting for it for months, it felt like.
Dude, I know. They released like 4 runs before they even got to Cade.
They got like the whole UCLA team. I don't care about these dudes. Where's Steph and Cade, man? Come on.
And all fans was complain, bro. They didn't say, yo, our guys are working. Listen, how many times did we hear them say to Andre Drummond, get in the gym with some real hoopers. Go and do some organized. Go and do this and do that. Our guys did that, and what do? They still complain.
Yeah, listen, I gotta vet real quick. And I'm not adding you, but I'm adding you, Easy. And this is directly at you. Listen, I love Easy so much, but the fact that I'm not stupid. I know Easy. Easy was a Keegan Murray guy. He was. And listen, now he's talking about, well, no, I mean, I don't hate Jaden Ivey. Even though he said Troy Weaver is too smart to pick Jaden Ivey, that's literally his words. But sorry, I'm kind of ragging him right now. But the fact that as soon as that first Rico Hines clip came out, because we didn't see the Ball is Life yet, we just saw it was just that initial clip.
Shout out Ball is Life, by the way.
By the way, they saved our ass, by the way, as Pistons fans.
No, Rico Runs came out with the Ball is Life footage like 6 hours later.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
they knew it.
Help us out, man.
Let's get it all. But Easy, and I was watching the video and I saw Jaden Ivey. There was 2 clips. He had a bad, he had a floater. It was a little too much power on it. And then the second one, he got his shot blocked by, I can't remember who did it. And I knew.
I mean, he got around Scotty Barnes and then got blocked.
I knew.
Yeah.
As soon as he got blocked, bro, I go on Twitter.
Got around Scotty Barnes.
You see that? You see.
He got it. See, look at Laz. Laz brings. That's what I'm talking about. You look at the little things. And listen, I get it. He's rookie. It's his first real pro. Like I call it a pro-am. It's a run, but there's all pros. I mean, these guys legit pros, by the way. Steph Curry, Scotty Barnes. You mentioned it. Gary Trent. There's like the whole Raptors team was there. There's some guys there. I don't take anything from this, guys. Like if you want to go on Twitter and say Jaden Ivey doesn't look that good. It's not that you can't say that, because again, the 2 clips they showed, he didn't look good. I don't say anything because I don't care. This isn't. I don't take opinions from this. Just like Kevin Knox, that man was cooking. He looked like, we mentioned Kevin Durant, bro. He had like 2-3 deep threes. He had like a couple. He had a lob. I mean, the guy looked great. Yeah. How much playing time do you think he gets this year? Maybe 10 minutes. I think he'll slide in there.
He's probably the only one we could take this away from, bro, because we stated it.
There was one more thing. Stu.
Yeah. Stu is the one you could take away.
Well. Stu looks really good. He looked really comfortable stepping into threes. They're running offense to get him open threes. and he looks comfortable taking them, and they're going in.
Right. He's hunting them.
Now,
Yes.
Now, does it mean Stu will be a 37% 3-point shooter?
Not necessarily.
Yes.
Exactly.
Not necessarily,
no.
but we like it. We like it. And now we have to see how it translates, but that's what I'm saying. You say you like things, you maybe don't like things, but to say, like, to post the video for a little propaganda, all right, I know what you're doing, a little propaganda to say, Jaden Ivey, doesn't look that good. All I'm saying is, got to keep that same energy. Because I'm telling you, come the regular season, he'll be just fine.
I didn't see Keegan in any runs.
I didn't. I can't say that I did. Yeah. So he's working, and I love the guys who are out there working, man. And you heard Rico in the beginning of the footage. He goes, guys, if someone's going for an open layup, just let them have it. Yeah. Like, we're here to get better. Even though he didn't let Jaden Ivey have it, swatted that thing downtown. But I don't take too much from it, guys. I just like watching it. It's entertainment to me. It really is. That's how I look at it.
And you want to see that your guys are working. You want to see that they got the right people in their ears. You want to know that they're working on developing the right habits. They're looking at the stars of the league work. You don't think that they're looking at Steph Curry, who you could take away from his performance.
Oh, he was cooking, dude.
Crap, man. What the heck?
He was cooking.
He was just like cooking.
Dude, he hit that bank shot over Jalen Duren. I'm like, Duren, it's okay.
And you could tell, like,
Duren got him back, but it was like,
he did.
Yeah. He did.
Or
he
you,
did.
You see he came off the Looney pin down.
Yep.
And it's just, and then he was laughing because like, this is exactly what I do in the actual.
Dude, it's identical.
And when you see that, you're just like, wow.
Tough shot over Cade. A little over the top, dude, off the glass. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting there. I'm like, Cade,
that shot over, and who Duren tried to come over and get it too. I was just like,
that's Curry.
Wow,
that's Curry, bro.
And I want that.
That's such valuable experience for the young guys.
Exactly.
Like, this is the level you have to get to in order to where you want to go in the NBA.
How do you improve if you don't know? Imagine if Jaden was first getting this in the NBA. Then we'd be like, oh man, it's going to be a slower start.
Right.
Like, these guys finally have an off season. I'm glad they're getting right into it. And I'm glad that Jaden is getting into it with starters, and he's going to former MVPs. I don't care what you think about Westbrook. Jeff and I already covered this.
I love it, man.
This only going to pay positive dividends. It's not like Westbrook is going, hey, shoot all the threes that you can. Yeah, mid-range power.
Don't pass the ball.
He's not doing that at all. Don't pass. Like, he's not doing that. And Ivy is getting a taste for the NBA game, the NBA speed, and all of that. And I think he's realizing
work ethic.
Say that again.
The NBA work ethic.
And one more time for good measure.
The NBA work ethic.
Make sure they hear it. Yeah.
Because for as much as I love Drummond, I can state that his ethic was lacking. He didn't know. I don't think he knew where to begin as it related to working. I don't. And when he started getting word of, hey, you need to work on post moves and free throws, that was like by the time Blake Griffin got here. That's too late.
You got to put the ego down too. Like when you go to these runs, bro. Like all the guys that were in this run, you could tell no ego. Like Jaden Ivey, I get blocked on to the next play. Exactly. Yeah. No one cares. Well, I took away from Jaden Ivey because you saw the second video, he looked better. But the first video, I'm just taking from those two snapshots, him getting blocked. I take as much out of that as I do from Cade getting cooked by Steph Curry. Like, I don't, because it's Steph Curry. Like, that's going to happen. That's something you're going to learn. Now, he played well. One possession against Steph. He held up, made Steph pass the ball. So that's what I take out of it. Like, people just live or die. And I get it. We're so thirsty for Pistons basketball. We're thirsty for the season to start.
Yes.
And I get it, but wait till the regular season. I would have less of an issue. I would still have an issue, but if you took something from a preseason game, I would have I wouldn't care, but I would have less of an issue than an open run during the summer. At least you're in an NBA arena, an NBA regulated game where things matter, at least in the preseason to an extent. So
Kevin Knox,
people need to chill.
We did talk about the liberation that we believed getting out of New York Knicks organization would have on all those players.
Yeah.
And if the taste of it was what we saw with Kevin Knox, then hey, Noel, Burks, this team, who knows what this team is going to be. Like, we can only take so much from these runs. What I take away from it with Kevin Knox is he knows how to play the right way. You saw cutting, you saw rim running, you saw defense, you saw him trying to go and play basketball the right way. And it's like, oh, there's something more there than I saw in the NBA. I don't know if this is just run stuff, but since here, he's just going to be in a position to support. If he can do those same things in the NBA, he's going to get those same opportunities and looks. He has the athleticism. He has a little bit of speed. You know what I mean? He has a defensive measurements, the measurables. We've talked about it. This isn't like just hot take. This isn't just, we saw him do something here. We heard from people. Rod even told us that there were people close to the situation. We've seen other people on Twitter and New York media and such state there might be something more to these guys. They were not in a good situation. Kevin Knox was not in a good situation with the Knicks. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it. Mentally coming here, having an opportunity like Marvin Bagley to just play freely, man, he's embraced Detroit from the minute before it was even official. He embraced Detroit.
Right. Being on a different team and getting away from expectations, I think, is going to be really valuable. Like when Marvin Bagley came here, he's no longer number 2 overall pick guy we took instead of Luka.
Right.
You forgot all about that.
Now he just gets to be like NBA player, NBA role guy, Marvin Bagley, do what you're good at.
It was like Josh Jackson, too.
With a guy good at working with those types of players in Cade. Yeah.
And now Kevin Knox doesn't have to be, top 10 draft choice miss Kevin Knox. He can just be NBA role player, space the floor, get some Iverson cuts in there, defend your position, be an NBA player role player Kevin Knox. And from what we saw from the runs is like, if he's willing to just do what it takes, if he's willing to be a play finisher, take open threes, show off a little bit of athleticism,
especially if he's knocking them down like that.
Attack some closeouts, right? Make some plays.
Yeah.
But if he's willing to do that, it's like all of a sudden, it's like that rotation space opens up a little bit. We were talking earlier about
need a 4.
They need a 4.
It does. Hami.
That's your guy.
Hami looked engaged. Mm-hmm. There were times last season where it seemed like Coach Casey was...
He was on his ass, man.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
Sharpening the knife.
Yeah, he was.
Thank you so much, Jeff, because you can see the wheels turning in his mind. Like, how do I say this?
He was on his ass.
Thank you.
He was, man.
I was trying to figure out the most Kool-Aid way to say it, bro.
Diallo wouldn't sub in one game. He just said, screw it.
Yeah. But he just looked like, I'm playing ball. He looked like, y'all wrote me off. Mm-hmm. Y'all, for real? Mm-hmm. I like Ivy, but seriously? Mm-hmm. I'm the athletic guy on the team. I got speed, I cannot shoot too.
Right.
It's like you could see he was, I don't know.
Well, it's so interesting to me about Hami because we talked about the team was playing better at the end of the year. Right. We talked about how like the rotation kind of wasn't settled. Guys, were in and out. He hurt his finger, right? So he didn't even get the chance to finish the season off on like a high note. And we also saw guys like Isaiah Livers like step up and enter that role. You're like, oh, okay, now we're excited about what Livers has to offer for this next season coming up.
Right.
But because we didn't see Hami play down the stretch, he's become kind of a forgotten man for this Pistons team. And when he was playing, it's like he always just provided like that spark, that element of energy that this team like needed from a bench player on a consistent basis. It's like, can he still provide that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like where will that come into play with some of the other guys we were talking about though? Like where will that come into play when you have like an Alec Burks who's going to get some playing time? Where will that come into play when you have like a Kojo?
True.
Who, as much as like I love that Kojo. Kojo's a great dude, and like, but Dwayne Casey is going to play him entirely too much, and it's just going to frustrate.
You already can see it,
right? Yeah. It's like, and I talk about Isaiah Livers. Like I love what Isaiah Livers has the potential to bring to this team. But like he's almost like the polar opposite of Hami in terms of like play style and what his skill set is.
And also speaking of the players you mentioned, the spacing is I think what's going to be important.
Yeah.
I think that's what separates guys like Livers or Alec Burks, their ability to shoot. And I think, and I always said this, to get the maximum out of Cade and Jaden Ivey and Killian Hayes, you need spacing.
Yeah.
And City can do it, but you need more. That's why I'm such a fan of Livers. I'm excited for him this season. Absolutely.
Very excited. Yeah. Very excited for Livers, man. Beef stew. From those runs, like we mentioned and we touched on a little bit, he looks like he's out to prove to everybody I can shoot threes. Not that I'm a 3-point shooter, but I am serviceable. I am somebody who can be depended here. I can stretch the floor. I can be put in multiple different lineups. Yeah, that's crucial, man. If Beef Stew is somebody that we look at as a starter or very, very, very crucial to the foundation of this team, you want to know that he can play in a lot of different situations, not just offense for defense, substitutions. Oh, we need a stretch big now. Oh, now we need the guy who can play down low. Beef Stew is kind of like that. Go anywhere, like the Tasmanian devil now, bro. Just go. Just cause damage. Oh, he dunked on somebody. The next play, you see these centers sometimes. They look around like, and then he's out there shooting a three. You know what I mean? That's what happens with these stretch bigs, man, who can also play inside. Who used to have people completely messed up? Sheed.
Yep.
Sheed used to have, like, you would see, like, yo, he's wide open. The power forward is, like, on the block still. He's shooting a three, like, jeez. You know, it was that's what I'm hoping Stu could bring, not from a standpoint of as efficient as Sheed was with it. Sheed was, you knew, like, that guy is it. I don't know if B-Stu is going to take that type of jump this year, but in terms of just how excited I was to see him out there looking comfortable doing it, that was awesome. I do hope that he's not taking his low post game. I hope that that's not taking any hits, this summer, that he's working on it. And I believe that training camp, he's not going to get to the season having his low post game and his paint game not getting worked out. I mean, Marvin Bagley, Jalen Duren, they usually bring in a couple other team jumpy jump guys. Yeah. You got to talk about that too.
We got to talk about that.
We got to. But they usually bring in a couple of those guys, man. Stu really, really impressed me. And, like, again, we're not saying, everything that they're doing in this game is going to translate. We're talking about what these guys have been saying they're working on. And when they step out on the court, like we said with Killian, what do you ask to do, and do you look like you belong? Yeah. He was one of those guys.
What I liked about Stu's run was that it looked like a continuation of all the stuff he had been doing.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
It's a good point.
And we know the stuff in Summer League is more structured. It's more of what the coaching staff wants him to focus on for the summer. And to see him continue down that path and still look proficient at it, that was what was really impressive to me. We know Stu has a very large role on this team. We're still kind of like searching for what that's going to be. Is he going to be the starting 4? Is he going to be the starting 5? And, like, you flip the responsibilities between him and whoever starts next to him. It's like, how big a role is he going to play on this team on a future iteration of this team when Jalen Duren, like, fully comes into his own? But at the same time, like, if Stu just continues to do everything that's being asked of him at a high level, it's like I'm happy with him. I'm extremely pleased with, like, where he's going to be. And, like, that's the dude whose contract extension is coming up, right?
Yep.
Centers who can protect the rim and be perimeter threats and still attack the glass, and still get out on switches and defend. Like, those guys are really valuable. Man. Those guys are really unique. And so, like, that will have a lot of value for a future Pistons team, absolutely.
Yeah, and just like you mentioned today when I had you on the morning show, you talked about, especially come postseason, how important Isaiah Stewart's going to be. And I really do believe, like, because I'm excited to see the small ball lineup, I really am, with Isaiah Stewart at the 5. Like, that matters, to be able to space the floor and do everything he was asked to do last year. Got better on the perimeter defensively as well. Like, that's where his value. I could argue Isaiah Stewart's one of the valuable players on the Pistons just because when in small ball situations, he's it. Like Bagley, there's you listen, defensively, that's a whole nother thing with Bagley. But Isaiah Stewart, he's solid. And if he has a perimeter game, my God, it just opens up. And I know he went on the Bun and Cardigan podcast. He talked about, like, wanting to extend his career, having that shot. He's going to do just that, man. Yep. So I'm excited for Isaiah.
Yeah. That was a great interview. Shout out to James and Nick.
Yeah, for sure.
That was. It's awesome to see because Drummond had all the measurables.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Stu does not have the measurables that Drummond has.
But he's got the heart.
But there's
the brain.
True.
That's it. Because I feel like
Drummond
had heart.
Yeah, that's the difference.
But he was ignorant on things. And that's not a bad thing. Like, all of us are ignorant on things. And as we learn, as we work, we get more knowledgeable on it. And that's the thing. Drummond came in as a kid without much structure. So it's interesting to see Stu come into a bad team still a bad team, despite any hope or restoration or whatever we dub it. It was still a bad team. Mm-hmm. And for them to say, all right, well, this is my role. I'm carving this out. This is what I'm going to do. And they're working on it. Rod has made sure to continue to remind us, it's not just the development staff. It's not just the coaches. It's not just the people they have around them. These players want to be great themselves. And those are the guys that Troy identifies. Mm-hmm. The ones that he's seeing, they're workers. They're hard workers. They're looking at their own games and not getting mad about a critique. Maybe this is the young team that would have worked with SVG. Maybe, because, Dwayne Casey is not necessarily an easy guy on his young players. He just might hide it a little bit better. But we see their frustration. We know that him and Killian got into it. We know that. Yeah. We know that. Like, so, and other players, we know him and Jaime got into it.
Yep.
It's just he has that grandpa face, man. That it's just, we'll figure it out. It's like, Casey, what did you do to him? Killian's actually mad now.
He challenges them, man. Yeah. And I like that. That's what I love about Dwayne. He's a great guy.
Yep.
He really is. As hard as he is, and it's all, you look back at the Toronto days when he was with Toronto and seeing that core rise and seeing players get better, like, Dwayne is the perfect head coach for this situation right now.
Yeah.
We'll see what the future holds for him. I think I still have a theory. I'm going to keep preaching it. I do it every week on this pod. I think Dwayne will transition and do like the front office or something with the Pistons organization. I don't think he gets fired.
Lifer, man.
I think, he is.
He gets promoted before he gets fired.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like you want to remove him from his head coaching duties, but you want to give him the respect. You gave him a promotion. You gave him something in the front office.
He deserves to see. He deserves an opportunity.
We'll
if this team continues to progress, to see. Like, I believe, whether we thought we should move on from Coach Caldwell with the Lions, I believed, hey, let's just see this thing just a little bit more. Let's get some more tools in here and see how he can work with that with Coach Casey. If we believe he's doing a good job at this foundational level, not that we believe he's going to be the championship coach or not, but I do believe when it gets going, let's let him kind of usher that thing in. Maybe have his coach in waiting, if that's what people are believing, or see if he knocks this thing out the park.
Yeah, it might be one of the assistants. Never know.
That's very true. I know they had the big staff change this past season, and Dwayne talked about he wanted more guys who were focused on development, more guys who were focused on the teaching aspect of the game as opposed to like the execution aspect of the game, which is what because the roster has changed so much from when he was first hired, right. And so it's been interesting to me how quickly Dwayne has ingratiated himself kind of into the Pistons. It's like when you think about the expectations he was brought here for, right? He was brought here to elevate a middling playoff team.
That team,
and then
that changed.
And then
quickly.
to have the course change so quickly, but him be able to adjust and still be the right man for the moment. That makes him like one of the more unique and valuable coaches the Pistons could have had for that situation. And that's been a really cool thing to see. And the trust that Troy Weaver had in Dwayne Casey, because when you get a new GM, you get a new coach.
You send him out the door.
Yeah,
you send him out the door.
But Troy came in immediately and was like, no, we love what we have in Dwayne, and I don't think he needs to go anywhere. And you love to see that trust. You love to see that relationship kind of off the bat be so strong.
Yep.
And that just speaks to Dwayne's character and his proficiency as a coach and as a teacher.
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I really respect it. Where it locked in for me that I said, you know what, this guy knows what he's doing, is when fans continue to clamor, including myself, for Killian Hayes. Let him play, especially his rookie year. Let him lose. Stop letting him, just tell him to hand the ball off and all this. But you see Sadiq Bey is not really having those issues, and he's letting Sadiq play. And he began to say, hey, guys, all right, listen, because he doesn't want those guys under a bus. He began to state, we don't want to practice developing bad habits. That statement has continued to stick with me, because a guy like Killian can become instantly out the league if bad habits, or instantly the trajectory is supposed to be if the bad habits are what is continuing to be developed. And who was chief of that? Who could have been great, but because the culture around him was about do whatever, Drummond.
Yeah.
By the time SVG got here, it was just like, what are you doing? It was like, yo, because he was allowed to practice and develop bad habits. Just go out there and play. He said, we're not just letting guys go out there. There's going to be valuable time for Killian and for some of these guys on the bench next to a development person saying, see this, see that. Look how Kojo is running this and that. And to know Kojo is not blocking your way back.
Right.
To know that.
Right.
That's crucial. To know Kojo's coming back and he's not telling you stuff from the standpoint of, I took your spot, but here's some condescending advice. It's not that. This is legitimately like Kojo is like, yo, you down to hassle him.
Yeah.
He's here to help these guys and to try and go out there and execute a play and to show guys like Killian, bro, you got way more talent, way more hops, way more skill, way more height. I'm getting more free throws than you.
And not just that too, like it goes back to what Les said earlier, like it's the former player approach. Like they're bringing in former players as assistants, and I think I love that, by the way. Guys like Rashard Lewis, being able to relate and see similar things than these players are seeing. That's why I love what the Lions are doing, because it's different from a guy with a clipboard, dude who's never played in the league. Like, excuse me, John Beeline. I mean, I'll use him as an example. Great, he can develop, but it's different from John telling you as opposed to Rashard Lewis. Like the guy, you look at a guy like Rashard Lewis, not only do you respect him, but everything he has to say, you're listening with open ears. And it's not like you can say, well, you haven't seen the same things as me. Yeah, I have. And I learned how to adjust to him. So I love what Dwayne's doing with the former player approach, and I think it's going to bode well for these guys, man.
It is. And with Kojo, man, this will probably end on this one, man, with Kojo. We wanted to talk about
Shout out King, man. I know he loves Coach.
Shout out everything King, man. Shout out our Table Talk crew, Deuce, Lexi, everybody else.
He's cringing somewhere.
Yep. We got to talk about it, though, because Kojo had the assist of the century, guys. His best assist ever. You guys know what it is, right? He said that Cade Cunningham will be a superstar.
That's a hot take. No, I'm just
NBA champion Corey Joseph,
yeah,
who has seen NBA superstars up close in person, been on their team.
That's true.
Seen them grow.
Knows what it takes to be an NBA superstar. Says that we have one of those guys in Cade Cunningham.
Confirm.
And
Confirmation.
it's cool because I know a lot of times what's up? Hey, it's Nick Leach in the building. Dope. But
Stop lipping putts.
yeah,
That's his
shout out Licking
podcast.
Putts.
I call it licking butts. Listen, lipping putts. Golf podcast. Shout out to Nick Leach, man. I love him. Just took a shot at him out of nowhere.
Through Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I was
completely off the mark too.
If you see Nick, don't say licking butts, man. Don't say it.
With Kojo, man. Maybe
Pause.
he's gonna be the future coach, man.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the coach in waiting. But no, you're right.
Dude, I messed you up.
Dog,
dude,
every time I see the logo now, okay.
like,
All right, let me, because
Lippin'
I
Putts.
see a little bit of the logo, and I'm just like, dog. All right, let me get back to this. Kojo, Corey Joseph. This doesn't make it any easier. We're talking Corey Joseph. But no, when we saw him at the Jeremy Grant Classic,
yeah.
you know, and I keep going back to that because that was my first time being able to see him interact with these guys outside of being on the bench or being with the team. And when he showed up, all those guys, like, they all like, yo, like you can see the whole team light up. It was crazy. The same way they did for Jeremy Grant. Now, looking back on it, I feel like that was Jeremy Grant's like going away party. And that they knew. I feel like they knew. Like, I'm serious.
I'm sure they had known for like a while. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I
we
get
talked
Last year of his
people-
contract, like, yeah, they knew
people
something.
there,
Or
we
the
couldn't say,
year
yeah.
before his last year.
But when Corey walked in, you could tell it was like they are appreciative that Corey Joseph is here.
Right.
That's the sense that I get. That's the extreme sense that I get. Like when Terry Foster walks into a room with us, it's like you can tell we are very appreciative. This is like a dream for me whenever he walks to a room. And it's like, yo, we get to sit down and just listen to him.
Pay homage.
Pay homage. And not that, you know, Corey Joseph is this crazy legend or anything, but there's something to say about people who have a good report amongst their peers. And that's what Corey Joseph has. And then when you see that he is a professional at his craft, he's a professional as it relates to work ethic. He's a professional as it relates to showing up on time. He's a professional as it relates to I'm doing what the coach has asked me to do.
Right.
I'm doing what I'm asked. That's where, you know, when he says what he's saying about Cade Cunningham, he knows what it takes to just, he's working, he's giving his all. You know those guys who are giving their all. You know those guys who are. And having his perspective of seeing other superstars grow, it's like, yeah, man, I appreciate his comments on Cade Cunningham.
No, absolutely.
I really do.
And when I think about the respect Kojo has from the young guys, I think about how that plays to the coaches as well. We looked at the Rico run, right? You watched it towards the end.
Yep.
The coach Rico is talking about how Corey has, you know, established himself as a vet in this league
Talk on it,
and has been a role player in this league for a long time, and how other dudes who, you know, aren't Cade, aren't Jaden Ivey, aren't necessarily going to be superstars in this league, and they know that. It's like you got to look at a guy like Kojo.
Got to carve your role.
You got to look at how he plays, look at how he works. It's like that's what you're going to need to do to stay in the league like he has. And so, you know, thinking about that from an external perspective,
point.
right? Like Rico doesn't work for the Pistons. I think he works for the Kings. But you know, the respect that Kojo garners from other people around the league, the other young guys have to see that.
Yeah.
Be like, this is a guy I need to talk to and learn from if I want to be an NBA player, if I want to be a consistent NBA player.
Yeah, because we're sitting here right now happy with a lot of the former players that the Pistons have brought in and some of the former players before. It wasn't like these guys were the stars of the league. They were the Corey Josephs potentially of their time. You know, Keith Bogans, he was a really good player, but he wasn't a star.
Right.
He was a guy who was a professional. You know, you see those guys that have those traits early on. And I'm not surprised with Jerry Stackhouse either. With the arc that he's taken and being a coach, he was a very smart offensive player.
Yeah.
Very smart defender too. Underrated smart defender. You know, so with Kojo, I believe that this is the final year, not the final year that he's going to be on the team, but the final year that he can play as big of a role that he's going to play. This is a transitional year, in my opinion, towards this team having to be or showing that they are restored. Not obviously completely there, but you want to see Saddiq Bey in year 4?
Yeah.
Be that deal.
Yeah.
You want to see Cade Cunningham in that it will be now year 3 going into that third year, be cementing I'm an all-star.
Yep.
You know, and so by that time, Kojo shouldn't be playing. If Kojo has to still be what we're talking about right now, after this season, there's a problem. There's a culture problem. Like we've hit a snag. If he's still around and he's still just that guy, big bro, cool. But Cade and these guys and Saddiq, especially Saddiq, with the years he put in at Nova and such, like.
What you think about Kojo like transitioning into the Rodney Magruder role,
right?
To bring back the podcast that James and Nick did with Isaiah Stewart, and how big to hear from Stu how big an impact like Rodney Magruder had on him in his career. It's like that was really dope. And it's like, you know, you can always rely on Magruder, it's like when he's called on, but you also don't have to call on him all the time because we have all these young dudes that also need playing time.
Right.
To see Kojo kind of step into that kind of role is I think what you can hope for him after what this is the final year of his contract. But yeah, from a respected vet perspective, you still need those elements on the team. Absolutely. I think that's something that Troy Weaver understands. And
yeah. And one thing like for Kojo and Rodney Magruder too, like that you need those type of guys because you look at Miami, not everyone's going to have a Udonis Haslem here for your entirety of your career, but what you can have is short-term guys like Rodney or Corey Joseph. They can come in and just give these guys little nuggets. And what Kool-Aid kind of brought up too, it's like eventually you're not going to need these guys, but it's always nice to have like even a guy who's not playing that has seen a lot of same things that these guys are going to have to face or deal with, face adversity. They can at least be like, listen, take a chill pill, relax. That's why I wanted Rasheed on the assist. I wanted him a part of the coaching staff because that would be the perfect guy to be like, yo, relax. Like, you're going to be fine. But to have Rodney Magruder and to hear those words out of Beef Stew's mouth, like, it just confirms everything we've already been talking about. It's like those guys value. And you saw Rodney, too. Like, some of those games he came in, he was playing pretty well. He had some ball still left. Yeah. But more than on the court, it's so much important off the court because it's not even just basketball, it's life, it's financially, it's what these guys can do after their careers and stuff like that. So you can never put a price in guys like that. You just can't, man. Like Rodney Magruder and Corey Joseph. And I know it'll be someone different probably the next 2 years. I feel like there'll always be that guy on your bench that OG you always can just pitch some advice.
You always need an old head. You always need an old head on the team.
You do. Yeah. And it's like the same thing. I mean, you brought up I forgot who Steph Curry back then with the Golden State when they had that young core. They had old heads too. Like every young core has old heads. That's just how it works. And I think Rodney and Corey Joseph, that's the role, man. Even though they can both play a little bit. I'm not saying they're old, they can't play, but that's just the role that's the cards they're dealt.
Birmingham Magruder.
Oh yeah, I saw him walking around like a couple weeks ago, man. Yeah, he was walking up and I look over, I see a dude, he looks 6'5", man. And I'm like, hold up. I'm like, there's no way a dude's 6'5" walking around Birmingham and not a part of something. Yeah. And he turns around, it's Rodney Magruder. I'm like, I knew it. I didn't want to bother him, but
like, dude, do you change like light bulbs in high places or basketball or something? Like,
he looks over, he's like, dude, I'm a mechanic. I'm like, damn, that's close. No, but I mean that's the reality. I was telling Laz, dude, like just to have, you're not going to always have guys like Udonis Haslem who's been in for a team his entirety of his career. But to have the value that these guys bring not only on the court, but off the court too, like mentoring these dudes just through life, like that, you can't put a price on that, dude. Like you can't.
Yeah, it's key, man. It's key. And I'm glad that Troy Weaver is thinking about these things on those levels. I'm glad that Dwayne Casey is thinking about those things on those levels because you can't just run a basketball and act like these guys aren't people. Right. You can't run a basketball team and act like they're not people.
It's
like
not
they're
2K,
not humans.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And Tom Gores was, for the better part of the first half of his, or maybe for most of it, was trying to play 2K. Yeah. I don't think he was trying to.
Which is the learning curve that all owners go through, right?
Yep.
It's so funny because, like, usually it's a dude. It's like these dudes come in, they're the most successful person that they are in close contact with. Mm-hmm. They've made a ton of money in the world of business. They're like, I know everything. It's like, let me come. It's like, this sports shit's going to be easy. Let me come in. I'll drop a bunch of money and it will be straight. And it's always so funny for like each one of them just so humbled immediately. It's just like, okay, nope. Like we have to listen.
I'm gonna book Bazaar for a halftime show. Everyone's gonna show up.
Well, and I'm thinking of I live
now he's like little baby concert. Let's schedule it, man.
It's like I live in North Carolina, so I'm not a Panthers fan, but I get the Panthers games, and so I've watched more of the Panthers. Yeah. And they just got bought. Remember they had the whole Jerry Richardson scandal, saying they have a new owner. And that dude has tried everything for them to be good, and it's just like, nah, bro. Like you have to let it happen organically.
Yeah,
like
get your basketball.
Like let's trade for Sam Darnold. It's like that was a mistake.
Trade for Baker.
It's like that's a mistake. It's what they do? Their first round draft pick like last year. It was like terrible choice. It was like
J.C. Horn.
It's like he's literally sitting in an airport bar and seeing like, oh, Baker Mayfield can be available. Get him. It's like he only looks at the news or something. It's just like, bro, you got to get basketball minds that are on the scene.
Yes, yeah, and you can't just drop a bunch of money and expect things to like flower. Like you actually have to you have to let it be a process, and you have to know what you're doing and trust the people that work for you.
And then you spend money.
Yes,
like the Golden State Warriors. Like then you pay that luxury tax once you figure it out. But until then.
I like it. I'm
no, that's it,
I'm
man.
Agreeing.
Tom, I think, and I got to give some flowers to Tom Gores too. Like he's
learned.
The one thing I can say about Tom Gores is he's allowed Troy to just work. Like that's the number one thing. When you bring in individuals that are expertise at their craft, don't get in their way. Don't. I'm glad he didn't sit Troy down and be like, all right, this is a me and you decision making process. Like listen, Troy's gonna operate. This guy knows what he's talking about, knows what he's doing. And I'm trusting him to make these decisions. And I'm going to be on the outside. If you need me, let me know. If I see something I don't like, I might butt in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's giving Troy free reins, and I can appreciate that.
I can't even imagine. Hey, Troy, listen, this is how this is going to go here. We're going to sit down. I got these players, right? Bro, like, what?
Like some owners do. Like, I want in on the decision-making. Like, get your ass. Unless you're a former NBA player, you at least have experience in this league for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like, sorry, buddy. Like, the Bus family. I'm adding you right now.
I was literally just thinking about that.
Bro, I mean, we're kind of like walking around it right now. Like, it's the Bus family. Yeah. Like, listen, Jerry Bus, it's a different conversation, but Jeannie Bus, that's a perfect example of stay yo ass. What did she just say the other day?
Well,
she said Russell was our best player, and then she walked it back and said most
consistent. Yeah.
And then you need to back that up, too.
Don't don't do
all of it back.
Yeah. Just don't talk. Just don't even stay out of it. Like imagine Tom Gores comes out and says like something like that. Like Sadiq Bey was our best player last year. I'm like, bro, Tom just stays out of it, and I can appreciate that, man. Yeah. So
I appreciate it when he allowed Ed Stefanski and Co to kind of bring in SVG, go through their ups and downs, go through their mistakes,
right?
But not come in and say, see, I knew I shouldn't have trusted you, basketball minds. Mm-hmm. He allowed them to do this. Clean their own cap sheet, go and get another basketball mind to replace SVG, because I almost feel like SVG might have been a Tom Gores hire.
He was.
For sure.
And instead of the basketball minds, but then the basketball minds were like, listen, we can clean this up? And he listened to them. Mm-hmm. That was the first step. And you realize if he's going to listen to them, because I don't believe there's any way Troy's coming here if Drummond is on the cap sheet.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. And so
I have heard that.
Yeah, me too. I've heard that too. I just wanted to put it less
overtly. But no, I have heard that. Like, there's no way Troy Weaver takes this job if the cap sheet isn't in the place that it was when he took over.
That means that they knew. Yeah. Because people are like, why are they just throwing Drummond away? Because they're bro.
I was one of those people. I was in like the Atlanta airport, and they traded Drummond. And I'm like, yo, what?
For what? Yeah.
I was so hurt.
For a copy machine and a Subway sandwich.
No, I was hurt.
I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, what? Y'all didn't even get a draft, like a first.
But it ultimately proved to be the right decision. Yep. And like later, when it's like you basically traded Andre Drummond for Troy Weaver, like that's a trade I'll make 10 times out of 10.
And what they get out of that second round, dude, was that? I'm trying to think, because they traded for a second round pick, and I don't know what it turned into, but whatever it was. I mean, listen, in the future, you're looking back on it, the value kind of makes sense a little bit, considering what his worth was at the time. Like as Pistons fans, we watch and we see what he does in terms of rebounding, and defensively at times. But my God, you see him bounce around Cleveland, L.A., Philly. It's like, damn, that's really what people think about Andre Drummond.
Yeah,
like that's the real narrative of him. So
he didn't put in that Stu work.
He didn't. No, he did not.
He didn't. And Stu's doing it early, so it's a part of his game, not 7 years in. Like I tell people all the time, if you have the opportunity to be great today, work on it today.
Absolutely.
Don't wait and think, well, I'm good. I'll just continue to grow in my goodness. That doesn't happen. Growing in your goodness is just plateauing. And that's what happens to a lot of these guys. Then you try to rebound, pun intended, and work extra hard here and there, and then it just looks like a mess. Mm-hmm. It just looks like, you're discombobulated. You don't start somewhere basic.
Even when he was working on his free throws, am I the only one that, you see those videos of him in the gym working on free throws, and I just sat there, I'm like, that ain't gonna work. Like, am I the only one who thought, like, his form, dude? There's stuff like Isaiah Stewart has at least the X's and O's of like a guy who can be a floor spacer in the NBA. Yep. Like, he's done it a little bit at college. He did it a little bit towards the end of the season. Like, Andre, there was never a thought in my mind where I sat there and I'm like, you know what? Andre might be able to space the floor, or he's going to be a better free throw shooter. Because, like, it's just, some things just don't work. Yep. And that was Andre in a shooting form. Yep. He just never had it. So
never got there, yeah.
Look, man, I think we covered a lot. Is there anything you want to talk about? Anything else?
I just want to say thank you all for having me.
Man, pleasure's ours.
Again on the morning show.
Appreciate you, man.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
and I'm really looking forward to this season. I'm coming down for a couple of games, and when I come down, I'm definitely gonna have to be in here.
Oh yeah.
Between you,
hopefully we get down there with you.
Yeah,
we'll see if we can make the games, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but no, thanks again for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Definitely glad to have you here. Hey, look, we got to do the drum roll on the way out.
Shout out Rod, man.
Mr. Rod Beard. Let's get that going. Detroit News, Rod Beard. Shout out to the legend. Let's go.
Mike Curtis, too. He's killing it, too.
Definitely Mike Curtis. And listen, you guys want to tune in next week. We got Rod back. Obviously, he's trying to take some vacations and some much-needed breaks before the season gets here. It's not for him. It's no longer just Pistons. He's assistant sports editor. It's all sports. And it's Lions season. It's Pistons season in a month and a half. It's Red Wings. It's getting busy. It's still a little bit of Tigers. It's college football.
Man, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's getting busy. It's getting busy. So shout out to him, man. I'm glad that he's in the new role he's in. It's a season of growth for everybody. And I'm hoping you guys are growing too. Put in the comments, though, what you guys believe. I know we do this, but hey, put in the comments what you guys believe Cade is going to do. How much is he going to affect winning next year, man? Seriously, put it down. But for Detroit Bad Boys, for Laz, for Miss Everything down there, shout out to him again. To our crew, man. Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy. What's good,
another
brother,
one.
man? Y'all make sure you tune in to From Half Court. Make sure you tap in with our Table Talk crew as well. Downtown Deuce, Go Blue, Lexi, and Mr. Everything King. Yes, sir. Till next time, man. Woodward Pistons.
See you.
Hey, I like that. That's your sign off?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun, dude. That I feel like that kind of flew by, too.